Commission meeting for August 1st. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Just a little bit of housekeeping. The microphones in the ceiling are really sensitive, and so if you have a side conversation and don't want it on YouTube, you might want to sit outside in the hall because it'll pick it up. This meeting is being live streamed, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. Commissioner Rivera. Here. Commissioner Jones. Present. And Commissioner Gose are also here. If you'd stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, I appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, the public hearing. The first of the public hearings this morning is rules promulgated to administer the Albany County Tax Refund Program. Is there anybody who would like to speak on or against the rules promulgated to administer the Albany County Tax Refund Program? How about online? Is there anybody online that would like to speak? Last call for in the room or online for the rules to administer the Albany County Property Tax Refund Program. Commissioners, I entertain a motion to close that public hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. The next public hearing, the Paddocks at Fort Sanders, second filing, second edition subdivision application, SD 13-22. Anybody in the room like to speak on or against the Paddocks at Fort Sanders, second filing, second edition subdivision application, SD 13-22? Yes, sir. Okay. Good, John. If you're not from Albany County, if you just introduce your name and tell us where you're from, that would be great. Not, we don't hear anything, we're just gonna expect you from Albany County.
Okay. I'm John Evans. I'm the owner of the Paddocks and Fort Sanders subdivision and applicant for the approval that is before you now. I just wanted to say that in devising this plan, that we have followed the previous plans of the two various additions that we've had at the Paddocks. They've proven successful. We've met every requirement, and we believe that the information supplied is true and correct. So I might also say that we do look forward to adding these additional lots to the Paddocks and appreciate your cooperation in that. Do you have any questions for me?
If there's any questions?
Not at this time, but
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in the room like to speak on or against? Yes, sir, please.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name is Mark Garcia. I live at 715 Rampart Road at the Paddocks. I had a couple questions on the second reading, correct? Am I correct on the second reading on the addition of the Paddocks, or is this a final?
Second.
Second.
Yep.
So first question to you folks, have you folks seen the YDOT traffic impact study that was turned into your plan department? It shows variances of incoming traffic, outcoming traffic into the Paddocks, into the Howe Road, through, what is it? The other subdivision out there. If you haven't read this, I really would like you guys to look at it closely, because there's a very, very major impact study on traffic coming into 287. Now, if you'd like me to get into specifics, I can. I can just give you a couple real quick notes in here. They did a traffic study. For single family detached housing, phase 2, which John is proposing now. By all means, I just want to put on for the record, we're not opposed to more houses out there, for lack of better words. What we're looking at is the impact of more vehicles per day in morning and evening, and what that's going to do to the one inlet on City Ranch Road. Now, we did speak with John Evans about trying to get with Mountain Cement to see if we could come to some type of an agreement. So until that agreement is met, I oppose second reading and moving on. For instance, The daily average trips out of the paddocks right now is 1,875 on one road. Nobody's gonna take Chaparral to Howell Road to get on 287. They're gonna go directly to 287. That's daily. Mornings, is quite a bit more. That's so a total of about 18, almost 2,000 vehicles per day on that road alone. That does not include the subdivision of Chaparral. Okay, this is the impact study for the paddocks. And if you folks haven't seen it, please get with your planners before making any decisions and go through it. It's very extensive. Right? It took me a couple of days to read it and understand it. So again, if you haven't seen it, please get with the committee or your planning department and ask why you haven't seen it. I actually worked for White House, so I know what's going on. So that's all I have to say right now. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Yeah, please.
My name is Deborah Peck. I'm a resident of the paddocks. I'm against any further development of the paddocks until something is done to give us better access to 287 via Howell Road. Several of the residents of the paddocks are elderly senior citizens, and it concerns us. It takes us an additional 2 miles at least to exit to get to where Howell Road would have given us better access. And I'm concerned because we don't have good ambulance and fire district access via Howell Road to our subdivision. I'm concerned about the amount of traffic going out City Ranch Road is only going to increase with more of the subdivision developed. I'd like to have you vote against that.
Thank you. Yes, please. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners. My name is Mitch Edwards. I'm with the law firm of Nicholas and Tangeman here in Laramie, and we represent Mountain Cement Company. I want to present to you today, this morning here at the public hearing. I have a trial this afternoon up in the circuit court, so I'll be leaving after this to finish up some stuff I need to do for that. But Mountain Cement at this time needs to speak against this particular final plat, but for one reason. Going back historically to 2008, when the Paddocks subdivision was originally put up for subdivision, Mountain Cement objected to that subdivision. At that time, and still currently, the regulations require that anybody proposing to utilize a road that's privately maintained has to enter into an agreement with people that maintain that road. In this particular case, Howell Road, which is not a county road and has never been dedicated to the county, is maintained by Mountain Cement Company. In 2008, Mountain Cement and the Paddocks entered into an agreement called the Hall Road Maintenance Agreement. And I don't know if it's in your packets, but I know it has been in the packets in the past. I'm going to give this to you all along with a recommendation that we have, but the Hall Road Maintenance Agreement applies to the entire area out there, not just what was being platted in 2008, but on the back page is the original preliminary plat that shows the entire area. And what we're talking about with this particular final platting is down here in this southern part of this preliminary plat. The original preliminary plat had 135 lots contemplated by it. Currently, with the reconfiguration, including this final plat, there would be 222. That means an additional 87 residential lots in the southern part. You're going to hear from your staff that at full build out, this would have access to Howell Road, and that just is not the case, because if you look to this agreement at paragraph 3.0, and this agreement was a condition of approval of the original preliminary plat, and it's still a requirement because at build out, etc., for secondary access, they would be seeking to access the Howell Road. But at 3.01, The agreement says Neptune agrees to amend its preliminary and final plats for the paddocks at Fort Sanders to provide that primary ingress and egress from and to all lots, excepting those along Calvary Road and Barricade Road, is to be from City Ranch Road. There is nothing on this particular final plat that's before you today that requires all lots primary access to be to and from City Ranch Road. What you see on there is no mention of that. And so what we have proposed to you, and I think I gave mine as well, is a proposed plat condition note to be put on as part of an approval that simply references that all lots are subject to this Hall Road Maintenance Agreement from 2008 as the agreement requires, and that all lots access is to be to and from City Ranch Road. Without that, we don't believe that this complies with the previous conditions of approval of the preliminary plats for the paddocks at Fort Sanders, the agreement that's in place relating to the Hall Road Maintenance Agreement that has to be in place according to the regulations, even for this particular final plat. And so we need that to be on this particular final plat and referenced. As we've seen over the years, this has caused quite a bit of consternation with the folks out there. And it needs to be noted on the final plat itself that if you buy one of these lots, you're subject to this agreement. Even though the agreement's recorded, this final plat is subject to that, and all of your access needs to go to and from City Ranch Road, with the exception of the emergency accesses that the agreement contemplates being on our road. And so we'd ask that either the commission deny the final plat, or that it require that it be amended with the final plat in order to be approved, to put the note on that we are requesting in order to comply with the Hall Road Maintenance Agreement. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Ralph, I'll head to you in just a minute.
I'd say that what Mitch has said is, in my opinion, just a statement of the obvious. It's something that we have applied. All the lots that you're considering in this additional would go on to City Ranch Road and on to 287. So there's no attempt to circumvent the Hall Road Maintenance Agreement. It's simply as it is, and as we've always insisted that it be. All applicants, all people who buy lots out there sign an agreement that says they will abide by this agreement. So we're simply restating the obvious, in my opinion.
Mr. Mahota, come on up. Good morning.
My name is John Prihoda. I'm attorney for the Neptune and with law firm of Prihoda, Edwards, and Ramapula. Back in 2008, I actually participated in the preparation of the Hall Road Agreement that you have. And it was a negotiation that occurred between Neptune and Mountain Cement after quite a few discussions with regard to the intent of the agreement and the concern that the Hall Road was in fact being utilized to haul limestone to Mountain Cement, and there was an issue with regard to the number of vehicles that might utilize Hall Road and the potential for accidents to occur and the damage or the danger that might occur to the people that use Hall Road on a regular basis. Therefore, City Ranch Road was constructed and the Hall Road Agreement was entered into and made a matter of public record so that all people who bought lots at the paddocks would be aware that that was the entrance and exit point for the paddocks. The paddocks has gradually expanded. The demand continues to exist from the public to live at the paddocks, and when they purchase lots at the paddocks, they're aware that that's where their entrance and exits are. I don't have any objection to what Mitch Edwards on behalf of Mountain Cement has proposed. It's consistent with the Hall Road Agreement. It's just a matter of do you put it on the document, or do you recognize the recording of the Hall Road Agreement as applicable to the subdivision? It's simply a few words that says, hello, you have a Hall Road Agreement, and if you look at the plat, it sends you to the Hall Road Agreement, just like the title commitment that you'll receive when you buy a lot will send you to the Hall Road Agreement. So I just wanted to clarify that to the extent it needed clarification.
Anybody else in the room? Please.
I'm Carol Collier. I'm an inmate of the paddocks. I would like to point out that there is a designation on signs on 287 of Howe Road as County Road 22. It's also on old maps as County Road 22. So it's historically at some point had this county road designation. I could drive up and down Howe Road 24 hours a day, nobody would stop me. I could not go a half mile from the gates on Post Road to 287 legally. But I can drive up my road anytime I want. You know, so there's a problem with county, I think, needs to address this for the benefit of not only the Paddocks residents, but anyone who wants to use that road, just what the status is. And also, I do believe that, I feel like the intersection of City Ranch and 287 is a dangerous intersection. There is a turn lane, which I think is too short, that's my opinion. If you're going southbound, if you're coming northbound, there's no turn lane. You frequently have high-speed traffic right on your tail. It's just, you always wonder if you're going to get somebody plowing into you when you're trying to make that turn. So I think the county needs to address the whole Howe Road situation for everybody's benefit.
Everybody? Sorry, I should have brought this up before. Again, I think I speak on behalf of the PAC, some of the presidents are now. Again, we're not opposing any further construction. Again, what we're proposing, what we like to see is the traffic situation be resolved. In this traffic study, since 2014, the annual percentage of vehicles have gone up by 1%. This is back in 2014. We're in 2013 now. I apologize, I don't know how many new subdivision or new plots John was planning on doing, but if you multiply that, you put about 4 to 6 trips a day per house. So again, I really want you folks to look at this. Now, as Carol was saying about Howe Road, yes, you can drive up and down it. We did do a FOIA request on it, and it really doesn't say a lot who owns the county of Howe Road. It is designated as a county road, but again, like Mitch was saying, how far do they take it? What I would like to see on behalf of the Paddocks is Neptune Management and Mountain Cement come to some type of agreement to at least gain one more access out there to what we call the lower bowl, where there are new plots going up on phase 2. It's going to be up on the hill more south. So that's going to put that traffic back on 287. So we discussed this 2 years ago, and you folks said you would look into it, and we never heard anything about it after that. So we would like you to reconsider and go through the traffic study before you make any decisions today. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Anybody else here in the room? Mr. Ralph, thank you for being so patient. Please, the floor is yours.
No. Jared Ralph, I'm the civil engineer on this project. If a condition of needing that note placed on the final plat, I'm just want to say I'm more than happy to provide that. If that becomes a condition of approval today, I'll, reach out to Neptune Management, reach out to Mr. Edwards, just make sure the verbiage is satisfactory, and I'd be more than happy to provide that for the signed plat document.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Anybody else in the room or online? Public hearing for Mr. Blades. FedEx. At Fort Sanders, second filing, second edition subdivision application, SD-13-22. Last call. Just entertain a motion to close that public hearing.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Number 4, comments from the public. Are there any comments from the public? We'll go online, or excuse me, in person, and then we'll go online. About online. Yes, please, come on out.
Hi, my name is James Hansen. I live in Centennial. I'm the new owner of block 39, lots 1 through 8. Purchased the property and I'm looking to develop it. I've gone to the Planning and Zoning Commission, tried to get the information to get a permit to build. In anticipation of doing that, I contacted Carbon Power and Light to bring them up there to take a look at where we could start bringing power into those properties. You might be aware of a boxcar that is placed on lot 10 of block 39. Been there for decades. There was an addition that's been put onto that boxcar. The majority of the boxcar is placed on lot 10, although some of this boxcar extends into the public right of way, as well as the entire addition that was put onto this boxcar. Boxcar was put, they put the addition on, that property was bought and sold. The building is in disrepair, this addition. There's no foundation, there's holes in the roof. There's electricity running to this addition. And this addition, like I'll repeat, it's in the public right of way. Carbon Power informed me that they would not be able to bring power onto my property from the power pole that is located in the street at 4th and Pine. It's the most convenient power pole. They will not string an overhead line over an existing structure. So I can't bring power up to my property unless I go from another pole that is yet to be determined. But the expense of that would be much greater than the expense from bringing my power from the pole at 4th and Pine. I know this building in addition has kind of been an eyesore, and it's been complained about for years. I'm at the point now that I think something needs to be done with this addition and boxcar. I'm not saying it needs to be torn down, but I would like to have it moved onto and out of, I need to have it moved onto the lots that the owner associates it with. I need it moved out of the public right of way so I can bring in a public utility to my property. I know you guys have a lot on your agendas in the future, and I hate to create more work for you, but I'm at a point now that I'd like to have this addressed so that I can move forward with bringing power and then building onto my property.
Do you know, off the top of your head, who's the owner of this property?
Yes,
Please.
his name is Michael Real. He owns lots 9 and 10, block 39.
Mr. Hanson, thank you for that. As you probably know, Centennial is a special,
You're so special.
special place in our little hearts
Yes.
here. And I am very familiar with the boxcar that you speak of. I've walked that whole area. And the planning department is here in the audience.
Yep.
And so we'll see what we can.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else for a public comment? How about online? Any online public comments? Commissioners, I entertain a motion to close that public comment.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 5, disclosures. Commissioner Jones, any disclosures?
None.
Commissioner Rivera, any disclosures?
I have.
And I have none also. 6, considerations of changes on the agenda. Bailey, thank you.
Good morning, commissioners. I have to remove item 29, please. It seems all of our reports come in without any, or all except one have come in without being in compliant, or, sorry. I'm not ready for this today. They're all in compliance that have come in, so.
That's
Here
pretty
for
good.
29. So,
Yeah.
and actually, it looks like there's a typo on 28. It should be notice of default on
Okay.
28. And that one needs to stay, please.
Okay. Tammy, please, thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. We have a time change for our well beverage permit for Wyoming Equality. They would like to change the time on August the 3rd to 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And then on the 5th, they would like to change it from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
And what item is that, Tammy?
31.
Thank you.
To 12 or to 10?
I'm sorry, to 10.
Any other changes? Super. Item 7, approval of the consent agenda. Commissioners, entertain a motion.
I move that we approve consent agenda.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign, please. That motion carries. That takes us to the regular agenda, item number 8. Set mill levy for the 2023-2024 budget and accept special district compliance report from Chelsea Matthews, County Assessor. Chelsea, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commission. I am here today to present all of the 2023-2024 mill levies. I supplied you guys with a lot of information in your packet, but a lot of it is pretty repetitive. The first thing that you will see is that a letter where it's outlining all of the tax districts and the total assessed value that each tax district will have. And then also total assessed value for the county. That total is $650, $987, $735, which is about a 13.5% increase over last year. Also in your packet, you will see that all of our taxing authorities and all of our special districts are in compliance. I have provided you with 2022's mill levy report, as well as an estimate of 2023 mill levies report. 2023 is an estimate, of course, because you guys are voting today to approve the 12 mills for Albany County. Also in the packet, you will see a breakout of each tax district and all of those authorities that will be collecting mill levies and what the total mill levy is for each tax district. One thing that I did provide for you all this year is just a breakout of, again, the total assessed value for each taxing authority and each special district, and what their total tax collected would look like as long as everyone pays their tax bill. And I've compared that to what they've actually budgeted. I just feel like it's really important for you guys to know what they will actually be receiving versus what their budget is. As you guys know, you really only can set the county's tax district. But it is your guys' responsibility to make sure that no one is going over the state statute mill levy that they can take. But I think it's really important for you to be informative of what their budget is and what they're collecting. And then the last few pages are just the state statutes that say how many mills each taxing authority can collect, as well as deadlines.
Chelsea, commissioners, any questions? I have one, but it's to county hospital and the rural fire district are both in the red. Explain to me what that, I know they said budgeted more than what they're gonna get. What's the outcome of that?
You know, I don't know without talking to those taxing authorities. You know, I don't know if they have a plan in place to make up for the shortage, or the hospitals is a pretty large difference. I guess so is rural fire, so I don't know what their backup plan is to fill that. I don't know if they'll get grants or.
Okay, they're just gonna get what they're gonna get from us.
Yep.
Okay, they're gonna about it.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chelsea. Any questions?
I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
So is a rural fire district same as district, fire district 1, or is, that's all I need. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign, please. Motion carries. Chelsea, thank
Thank
you for the detail. I appreciate it. 9, present for approval, annual compensation agreement between the University of Wyoming and the Commission of Albany County for the 4-H youth development programming with the University of Wyoming Extension Office. And Brian, looks like you'll be
Back for one more time to hang out with us. So yeah, this is just a normal thing that happens in every county between county commissioners and University of Wyoming. So the one thing we wanted to note, and I've talked to Kayla, luckily she caught it, and then she's aware of it, and then the supervisors on campus are aware of it. So the agreements came out later than they should have for you to see it. So the difference from the previous agreement to the current agreement is $2,200. Well, $2,206. And so I've talked to everybody in the office. So what we talked to Kayla about was, compensating for that through our annual spending budget that we have. So with me departing and where we're currently at, we think we're probably fine based on what we normally don't spend. Just so you're aware, that's what's going on. I think Kayla and UW should be in communication about how to make sure that doesn't happen next year. It shouldn't change, but the difficulty of what happens with this is if there's ever any pay increases or changes at UW, it's always so slow to happen in a timely fashion for you at the county to see when that change is going to be. So that's kind of a sort of dance you've got to do, but it just is kind of a difficult situation for when that happens on the university side, and then for them to have it timely, be here for you. So I don't know if you have any questions for me on that or anything in regards to that, but just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. So.
We should take questions. All right, I entertain a motion for item 9. Thank you.
I move that we accept item 9 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposing signs, please. Motion carries. Item 10, adopt the Albany County Property Tax Refund Program and the rules promulgated to administer the program through the Albany County Treasurer's Office and direct the county treasurer to formulate a process for the refund program. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. We went through the process, we advertised the rules, and I just want to give a brief outline of what those rules are. So it will also be on record. And I'm also hoping that the boomerang is listening and will help me advertise and get this out, because we will have, should you approve it, we'll have 1 month to get applications in. So hope they're listening. Under statute 3913-109, little c, Romanet 6, was approved to be effective July 1 of 2023 or 2022 rather, for the county to be able to adopt a program for their own property tax refund. So the rules start with, obviously the purpose is to refund property tax. And it briefly goes over some definitions of the program. In section 4, the qualifications for eligibility are also outlined. An applicant must be a resident of the state of Wyoming for a period of not less than 5 years. They also need to be a resident of Albany County for the county program. They also need to occupy the property that's being applied for 9 months of the preceding calendar year. They must have also paid their property tax in a timely manner for the preceding calendar year. The household income would be eligible at 125% of the median gross household income for the applicant's county. In Albany County, the median income is $53,030, and 125% would be $66,288. The total household assets, excluding the items listed here, which I will outline, cannot exceed $150,000 per adult member of the household. The excluded items are the house that the home is being applied for the refund, one personal motor vehicle per adult in the household, household furnishings, and personal property. Assets held under a bona fide pension plan or individual retirement account, the cash value of any life insurance policies held, and assets held in a medical savings account. An application also must be received on or before the first Monday in September. There's also provision should this be a holiday, because that generally is Labor Day. And so the due date this year is 9/4, which is Labor Day. So the provision would allow for the application to be turned in by the following business day, which is the 5th of September, by the close of business. Far as some of our county procedures, the county treasurer, myself, shall prepare a list of qualifying applicants and submit that report to the county clerk's office no later than December 15th of each year for the preparation of all the payments due. And all the refunds shall be on or before December 30th to each eligible applicant. Also annually, the county treasurer shall report to the Board of County Commissioners the number of applicants approved and denied with the denial reasons, the amount of each refund, and an aggregate total. There's also a provision should the change of assessed valuation go down, or we have budgetary constraints that we may not fund this program. Lastly, a refund under this paragraph or this program shall not exceed a percentage of the applicant's prior year property tax as determined by the county subject, which shall not exceed 75% of the applicant's prior year's property tax. And in no instance shall the amount of the refund exceed 1/2 of the median residential property tax liability. The median in Albany County is $1,869.20. So half of that would be $934.60. That is the max that any one applicant could receive. This also, if they apply for the state program, which we'll get the report by September 30th of who applied and will be receiving state funds, they cannot receive with the state program and the county program more than 100% of their property tax refunded. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy, you have to do this report to the Board of County Commissioners, the number of applicants, the number of applicants approved. When is that report?
That is one that we will have to develop since it will be the first year of this, but we would do that report probably at the same time that we put the list through to the clerk's office. Yeah.
Tracy, thank you for taking this on. Already heard from constituents who urged us to vote for this. And just to reiterate that this is people low income, I think would be described pretty well. Living on the margins, so I think that's fair. Thank you for the lead on this. I know that adds more to your plate, but I think it's a really important part.
I agree, it's very important. I think there's a great need out there. And I also have to give Chelsea credit because she's been my proofreader and helper in all aspects of this as well.
Yeah, thank you, Chelsea, and thank you, Tracy. Any other questions? Okay, any motion for item 10?
I move that we adopt the Albany County Property Tax Refund Program and the rules promulgated to administer the program for Albany County Treasurer's Office and direct the county treasurer to formulate a process for the refund.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thanks
Thank
for all that hard work.
11, present for approval, Drug Enforcement Agency Equitable Sharing Agreement. Sheriff Appleheim, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is our renewal of our yearly agreement with the United States DEA for equitable sharing agreement that we have through my office, essentially the Commissioner's and Treasurer's office as well.
Questions? I'll entertain a motion for item 11, please.
I move that we approve item 11 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 12, present for approval, addendum 1 to the request for information for ERP software solutions for Albany County, Wyoming. Tracy.
Jennifer's pulling up the dates. I didn't know Caleb put my name on this. I apologize, but I do know that we extended the comment period or the question asking period to yesterday for the ERP software RFI. And then the bid dates are next, the 21st. And that's what the addendum addresses, to allow more people to submit proposals.
Yeah. Do you have any idea of how many companies that have submitted?
Last week, we had 4 plan holders, and I know there's been like 2 others that have maybe haven't got the plans, but have been asking questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions? I entertain a motion for item 12 then.
I move that we approve item 12 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Kim.
Sorry about getting you under the bus, Tracy.
No,
No,
no, it's all good.
and we'll do the dance with Aaron today. 13, present for approval, invitation to bid for purchase and delivery of 2 full-size 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive pickup trucks with the upgraded suspension pursuant to police package specifications with trade-ins and direct the clerk to advertise. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning. So this is a revised bid to have the clerk advertise from the ones that we had in June because of manufacturer pricing hadn't been released. So 4 vehicles at the time. These package trucks with the trade-ins that we had in there because that pricing is now. So just asking for your approval so we can have the clerk.
Sure. Commissioners, any questions?
It's been my experience, and certainly may not be everybody else's, but all-wheel drive vehicles use more fuel than 4-wheel drive because you should be in 2-wheel most of the time, and then when you need 4-wheel, you can put it in. So it saves a substantial amount of fuel. Is that not a concern?
It is a little bit of concern. So the way this bid is constructed is based on manufacturer specs. So most of the manufacturers now, they will have a few vehicles that are 4-wheel drive, but most of them are coming out with an all-wheel drive version, and a lot of them are coming out with new hybrid engines as well. And
That's what we need in North Albany.
right,
We need gasoline in North Albany.
right. So the bid essentially advertises people to make the bid based on those, those two manufacturer specs, full gasoline, full four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive hybrid, or any combination thereof that they have. So that's what's going to allow my office to essentially send out the bidding and basically get the most bang for our buck, the most advertisements back, so that we can compare and contrast what it is we have. But for those police package vehicles, for the major domestic manufacturers, most of them are moving towards hybrid and all-wheel drive. And so we've talked internally and then with the commission as well. As we move forward through these next few years, the availability of gas four-wheel drive vehicles is going to go down. It's going to be harder and harder as years go by to get those, just because our domestic manufacturers
Somebody planting current bushes up in North Albany.
are planning what?
Current bushes in North Albany.
No, essentially those hybrid vehicles are both gasoline and electric on there. Because of our geography here in Albany County, we're not fully prepared to go fully electric yet. The types of calls and the service that we provide, the technology for an EV vehicle isn't able to meet the demands that we have for the county and the sheriff's office. So,
But you didn't star to have four-wheel drive over all-wheel drive.
no, we kept it neutral for both to see what bids that we can get. We want to, like I said, cast the widest net so we can get the widest reach, and see what vehicles that we're able to get.
Anybody else? Sheriff, I'd entertain a motion for item 13, please.
I move that we approve item 13 as presented and direct the transportation.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Commissioners. Item 14, present for consideration the Paddocks at Fort Sanders second filing, second edition subdivision application SD-13-22 and a subdivision permit. Joe, good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. All right, so the applicant is Sean Evans, owner Neptune Management Corporation. The request is approval of final plat and a subdivision permit. Current zoning is urban residential. Project summary, the applicant is proposing to create a 29 lot subdivision within a 371.7 acre tract. The preliminary plat subdivision was approved in 2019. Water will be provided by south of Laramie Water and Sewer District. Septic systems are being proposed for each lot. Per the plat, all sewage must be treated by Presby Environmental Advanced Enviroseptic System to a total nitrogen level of less than 30 ppm. Equivalent sewage treatment units may be used only with the approval of the Paddocks Improvement District and the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality. A storm drainage report was completed for this proposal and reviewed by Bill Gorman, County Engineer, during the preliminary plat stage. Utilities, power will be supplied by Rocky Mountain Power, internet/phone by CenturyLink, gas by Black Hills Energy. All utilities must be installed underground. Postal Service can establish delivery. Cluster boxes must be installed and maintained by the developer. Roads, 2 interior roads are being proposed that will end in a cul-de-sac. Artillery Heights Road will intersect with Bastion Road, a private road, which then connects with City Ranch Road, a public road maintained by Albany County. Arsenal Court will intersect with Artillery Heights Road. The maximum length of a cul-de-sac is 600 feet unless the lots are 1 acre or larger, and the Planning and Zoning Commission approves a variance to the standard. Recommendation of approval of this application is acceptance of this variance. Access, the applicant has provided an approval from YDOT for the original access permit to the Paddocks at Fort Sanders, second filing, first edition. In between the approved access and the Paddocks at Fort Sanders, second filing, first edition, there is an approved access easement, now known as City Ranch Road, County Road. Bastion Road is a privately maintained road that is dedicated for public use. as are all roads throughout the Paddock subdivision. Road maintenance, the covenants that have been presented to the Albany County Planning Department intended to be applied to the Paddock Fort Sanders second filing, second edition are the exact same covenants in effect for the Paddocks at Fort Sanders Phase 1. A new copy of the covenants will need to be notarized, signed, and filed with the Albany County Clerk. Road maintenance is discussed in the aforementioned covenants and will be taken care of by the Paddocks Improvement District. Fire protection for this area is provided by Albany County Fire District 1. The applicant is required to provide a water source approved by the fire district, and the applicant is putting in fire hydrants. This was sent out and reviewed by multiple agencies. The Albany County Assessor's Office, Chelsea Matthews, had no concerns. Engineer Jake Schneider had concerns with the final plat, engineering report, construction plans, and water line construction plans. Those concerns have been taken care of. Albany County Fire, Luke Hawkins, chairman, has concerns about the ingress and egress. His full comments can be seen in the review section. Albany County Planning, Jory Unverzad, JS analyst, had no problems with any of the road name proposals. Road and Bridge, Rob Fisher, superintendent, has concerns about the approach from City Ranch Road. Laramie Rivers Conservation District, Holly Dyer, talked about soils, vegetation, erosion, and weed encroachment. Her full comments can be seen in the review section. And YDOT, Taylor McCourt, had no comments. The applicable sections of the Albany County Planning and Subdivision Regulations are Chapter 3, Section 1, Chapter 4, Section 5 and 9, Chapter 5, Sections 1 and 2, and Chapter 6, Section 3 and 4. Findings necessary for approval pursuant to Chapter 3, Section 2 of the regulations and Wyoming Statute 34-12-103, preliminary plat requirements from the regulations, Chapter 5, Section 1. If a city or town is not required under the section and the plat is located within 1 mile of the boundaries, I don't believe. Let's skip this. Get rid of that. A little bit of history. 2008, a preliminary plat and phase 1 of the final plat of the Paddocks at Fort Sanders subdivision was approved. In 2019, a new preliminary plat and the Paddocks at Fort Sanders second filing, first edition, final plat was approved. Staff analysis, the applicant has provided a complete application, including all required documentation and reports. This application is the second edition of the Paddocks at Fort Sanders second filing. Lots would be accessed from Bastion Road via City Ranch Road. There is still concerns about having one access to the Paddock subdivision. However, the county has not adopted any regulations to implement multiple accesses. At full build out, the Paddocks will have 2 access points, Bastion Road via City Ranch Road and Garrison Lane via Howe Road. Findings of fact, the findings necessary for approval, applicant responses, and staff analysis of inclusion of required information as referenced in this report are affirmatively adopted as the findings that the applicant has provided the board with adequate information that the requested and required findings, documentation, notice, and notations have been satisfied by the applicant and the same are incorporated herein. Conclusions of law, the applicant is proceeding in accordance with and is in compliance with the requirements of the Albany County Planning and Subdivision Regulations. The Planning and Zoning Commission, we had quite a discussion. There were many subjects brought up to the commission and in the public comment period, mostly about access, traffic, wildlife, and septic systems. The Planning Department believes that this application has met all requirements. Planning and Zoning Commission voted 3-0 to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to approve the Paddocks at Fort Sanders second filing, second edition subdivision application SD 1322 and a subdivision permit adopting and incorporating the staff analysis, findings of fact, and conclusions of law as each are stated in the staff report, including granting permission to extend the cul-de-sacs beyond 600 feet.
Commissioners, any questions for Joe?
Yeah, Joe, who were present, members as far as the planning and zoning?
Chairman Hinckley, Commissioner Hanning, and Commissioner Thorne.
And the other 2 were not present?
They were absent. We had known that they were going to be absent.
Any questions? Joe, just real quickly, the whiteout report that was referenced earlier this morning, was that available to the planning and zoning commission?
Yep, it's included in the packet. I had spoke to Taylor McCourt several times as well, and he stuck by it. And I had Jake look over it as well, and he had no problems with it.
Okay, and this might not be a question that you can just tell, or an answer you can give. The conditional text that was talked about, being put on the, is that something that's routinely done, that can be done, that can't be done?
I would say don't do that.
The conditional text.
I'll let a lawyer.
Can I step in? I talked to Matt, and Matt can step in also. We don't have anything in our regulations that would require that to be put on there. However, since Mr. Evans, on behalf of Neptune, has offered, and it would help clarify things, I think it is fine if we ask them to put that on there. If they choose to do so, that's great. Better informs the public. Matt and I don't believe we have a regulation within the statutes or within the zoning resolution that would allow us to require it.
And then my final question, maybe to see Mr. Evans step down, Mr. Prohoda, you can help me out here. The ingress and egress, there were two talked about when it's finally built. When do we anticipate the ingress and egress having two instead of just one right now?
Well, I think much of the impetus is going to have to come from the county to try to address the issue with Mountain Cement, because Mountain Cement's rights to the haul roads seem to be relatively understood, and that this isn't a county road, so that they hold all the cards with regard to the right to access. And as Neptune proceeded with this subdivision, they said, okay, we understand you, Mountain Cement, are going to take all of the maintenance responsibilities for Howe Road, and that we will agree to participate in the development of City Ranch Road. And we will further make it known to all people who choose to buy lots that this is the plan. And specifically set it forth in the Hall Road Agreement, and gave notice to them that if they buy a lot, that this agreement is going to be applicable to their access right pursuant to its terms, and then proceeded to present that both to the property purchasers as well as the county commissioners as this development proceeded. The initial preliminary plat was presented with all of this in mind and showed the development of all of the lots within the paddocks, which were set forth at that time. In this process of gradual requests for permission to proceed with the final plat on various parts of the paddocks subdivision are progressing to where it started with 135 and now has reached 222 lots as part of the overall development. To go further, I think that Neptune can only comply with the terms that are in front of it and present everything that it can to the county commissioners and the planning commission, that this is the plan. This is our participation in the entire development, and we will try to address anything that is raised that would be required under the county regulations as we proceed with this development. Where do we go with Howe Road? I'm not sure where you go with Howe Road, because the county commissioners and Mountain Cement are at a bit of an impasse as to who has what rights to dedicate access onto that road. And it's not Neptune. Does that answer your question?
It does, and it brings another question to mind. I wasn't here in 2008, but some of the road work. And it was my understanding that there was initially planned an egress, two ingress and egresses. Now one of those has a lock gate that people have the fire and police must have the ability to get approved. Was that always anticipated to have a locked gate when they first came before the commission, or is that something that's grown out of this?
No, the Hall Road Agreement addresses the fact that the access to the Hall Road would be available to the purchasers until such time City Ranch Road was developed. And so that occurred after the development process for City Ranch Road. Mountain Cement has tried to identify how to address the access for emergency purposes. And I believe that the fire department has keys to the locks in the event of emergency purposes. And there's been discussions from time to time whether there are alternatives to providing access for emergency purposes, whether it's some sort of an electronic gate or whether it's a some form of punching in a code and how that might work. I'm not sure where those discussions are at the moment because they're between Mountain Cement and consistent with the Hall Road Agreement.
The only part that I'm struggling a bit with is adding, we had 2 volunteer fire department people who live in the paddocks a couple of years ago come in and wonder if there was adequate egress in an emergency situation, and we're concerned. Adding more lots with that same amount of egress heightens my concern, I have to tell you. I understand that you follow the regulations of the county as we can see it. But I am a bit concerned, adding more lots. I don't have any problem with this is my one sticking point. And it's a fairly decent sticking point, right? I think about the movement of wildfire and one egress for what might be 222 lots, certainly 135 plus 27, I think I heard 62. Is a bit much, and all my fears here.
Yes, and I appreciate what your concern is. The discussions between the fire department and Mountain Cement with regard to improving the ways to address emergencies in the paddocks 3 point is under discussion. I've met with Mitch on a number of occasions to talk about, you know, what appears to be with regard to keys and access to the locks. If those access points are not secured, then it's very clear that the residents will take the shortest route. And so that's the reason that they're locked and the keys are only available to the emergency access people. And the Hall Road issue and the major trucks that go up and down there, it's lost in the event access is a convenient thing for the paddocks users on the Hall Road. So it's a matter of negotiation that I think is being discussed as we speak and will continue to be discussed as an independent proposition to address what you're hearing that may be problematic in the future.
You have family living out in the paddocks, would you feel comfortable expanding the subdivision, the amount of lots with the egress?
Say that again.
If you had family living in the paddocks currently, would you feel comfortable that the egress was sufficient to provide for their safety?
Well, if my family buys lots in a subdivision that has a single access point, I don't know what I could say to them other than if that's something that concerns you, maybe you shouldn't buy the lot. But there's signs out there, there's a document out there. It says you understand that. And as part of the consideration for the purchase of these lots, a single access point on City Ranch Road is the deal. And it's paragraph 7.01 is in capital letters and says exactly that. So it's one of those things, did you make a wise decision for the safety of your family? I don't know how to address what decisions people make when someone tells them these are your options and this is what it is you're buying by a lot. I think that their concerns are something that they can continue to address with Mountain Cement and with the fire departments. And I believe that someday they'll find a better system than the lock gate. But at this point, everyone seems to have accepted the key and the lock gate.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not for Mr. Herman. I'd like to address this to Joe as well as David. On the staff analysis, you do say at full build out, the paddocks will have 2 access points. Bastion Road via City Ranch Road and Garrison Lane via Howe Road. What if you're saying will have? Are you privy to some information that we don't know at this point of negotiation between Neptune and Mount Cement, or why is it will have?
So, yeah, Mr. Chair, that on the preliminary plat, the way that it's planned, Garrison will be an access that could be accessed by anybody in that subdivision, and it will go from Howe Road to City Ranch Road. So at full build out, if that road is built as has been approved in a preliminary plat, then there will be access. Now, if going forward things change, which is my understanding that they do not want to build that full of the Garrison all the way out or whatever and have a space in there just by discussions we've had with the applicant, then no, there will not be 2 accesses. But like I said, as with the documents that we have today that have been approved, it would provide that access. Now, in the road maintenance agreement, I'm not exactly sure what the language is in there that it says that they can or can't do that. I don't know. I mean, that was a private agreement that ended up on a plat that we're referring to. But like I said, we're using the documents that we've been provided, both the preliminary plats from 2008 and the preliminary plats from 2020 or whatever it was, or 2019. They both have that as a through street, and it's showed on the major street plan as a through street as well. So that's where our comment has came from. So
I'd also like to hear from Rob as far as his concerns. You stated that you had concerns on access of City Ranch Road.
Actually, my concern was more with 287 and City Ranch Road. I do think that needs to have a better improved acceleration lane and turn lane and things like that. The acceleration lane, if you're coming down, and this, I know YDOT's looked at it, they have their own studies, so this is just my opinion. As you are coming from the south on 287, that is one of the first major intersections you come to, and you really haven't slowed the traffic down at all yet till you get there. So that's why I do think there needs to be an acceleration lane for when you pull off a City Ranch Road onto 287. You're not doing 35 and they're doing 70. So that was my concern.
Thank you, Rob.
Just to follow up on what Rob said, 287 is a highway, so it's controlled by YDOT.
Right.
So we can't, since YDOT isn't requiring it, we can't require it.
It's just the opinion.
It is an opinion, and I agree, but
But
we,
the opinion is important for the discussion.
agreed. Agreed. The opinion is important for the discussion. Just keep in mind that we can't require a developer to do something on a state highway.
I do have a question for Mr. Evans. I can't remember if it would have been in 2018, 2019, something like that. The rural fire district asked you to please put electronic gates on the egress off of Howe Road. Has that happened?
No. And it's largely because the fire department hasn't followed up with that. Sought information on that and had no response. So the present response is that they'll use their bolt cutters, which they carry, and just cut the chain and go on through.
But in an emergency, wouldn't it be better if it was electronically done and they can get in there fast rather than to slow them down? This should be on your plate.
It only takes about 10 seconds to cut the chain.
Only, but you have to get in and out, how much snow or whatever. I'm disappointed that you have not gotten this electronic gates. I think that that's just despicable and someone's life could happen.
Yeah,
And
just
people,
never heard back from the fire department.
I have questions.
An item to be followed up on, like Don said.
But why do you
we're trying to
need,
discuss.
you don't need to hear back from the fire department. You could just take care of it so it can be opened electronically by those fire trucks or ambulances. It's not happened. Years have gone by. That's your responsibility. The death of someone is on you.
Yeah, but it's not a requirement.
I know it's not,
Yeah.
but you should do that on your own.
And I just have one final question, maybe, probably an attorney, maybe Matt, Jennifer. Hate to keep sounding like a broken record here on this ingress egress. But I'm hearing squishy language in my mind that says will, could, or could. I would like that to be more of a will, right? So how do can we conditional approve this that says you will have a second egress by the time this thing is done?
Right now, we can't because we don't have that requirement in our regulations. I know planning and zoning and Matt are working through those regulations and looking at how to design language to propose as an amendment, be it the number over a certain number of houses or a certain number of residences would require a second ingress or egress. I don't think they've worked that out yet, but they are working on it. Is that correct?
Correct me if I'm wrong, David or Joe, but I believe the planning and zoning has given their 30 days notice in consideration of that amendment. But right now, the proposal is based off of that preliminary plan. So until that changes, that is essentially, that is what the county has purview over. So
over existing regulations, which don't require that, but like Matt said, they have come up with language that planning and zoning apparently has put out or will be putting out to their initial 30-day comment period. So it will be coming before this board shortly, hopefully, to amend that to require in the future subdivisions with a certain number of lots.
Yeah.
Would then have to have a second ingress and egress.
So we could table this.
Yeah.
No, because you have statutory timelines when it's presented to you. But it does have the potential to affect future pieces of a plat that if it were to come to you.
So a subject build out similar to this, that started before that process. For instance, we had that requirement of 2 ingress and egress. So they would be responsible for that going forward. They would not be grandfathered in under the time before that we had that.
So I suppose if they have a preliminary plat that has been approved under earlier regulations, as long as that final plat is consistent with the preliminary plat, then it would still, meet that requirement. However, if things changed and between, there were revisions to a preliminary plat, well, then that's a new proposal, so that would kick in new requirements.
And keep in mind, like a secondary access doesn't necessarily have to be off of another road. It could be two ingress and egress points on the same road, just at different points on that road.
Depending on how the language turns out, that is something that.
Thank you guys for that. That's all I have. Commissioners, any other thoughts, comments? I think before us, we have three options here: approve, approve with conditions, deny, four options, and table.
She said we can't table.
You don't have enough time to table within your statutory requirements. Is that correct? I don't have it in front of me. It's like 45 days.
My apologies for the second reading. We don't have readings in the county. For some reason I answered your question, it wasn't. So my apologies.
So under 18.5 through 8, the board has 45 days after receiving a report from the planning commission or planning and zoning commission. So essentially that report was received today. So it would be 45 days from today. So it could be tabled for another meeting.
It wouldn't be sufficient time to get regulation changes.
No.
And it wouldn't apply.
Right, because this is at the time of the application.
I have not. I didn't see in the packet the whiteout report. So I have not seen that, and I have not read that. I'm not sure that would change anything other than I would like to be aware of that information. And it was not that I could find in our packet. So thank you for bringing that to the attention. Should I entertain whatever motion you'd like to entertain? We have 45 days to make a decision from today, is my understanding. So all four of those options, approved, approve with conditions, deny, or table, are available to us.
I guess I'd like to make a motion to table, but I too would like to see that white dot and maybe discuss further the statement within the agreement. I'm really concerned with Carol's how she introduced herself she wasn't a resident, she was a
Inmate.
Yeah.
The padlocks.
Yeah, you know, it's
Yeah,
humorous,
lots.
but it isn't. And I'm concerned about that, so I would prefer to table. I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to table the Paddocks at Fort Sanders, second edition subdivision application SD 13-22 and a subdivision permit. Do we have to give a date?
Should.
Okay. What would you like to do the next meeting?
We have all.
Right, so it'd be
Second. First, it would be first meeting.
September.
Yeah, so either August 15th or September 5th.
Is that to fall within the 45 days?
It's 45 days from today, so that would be fine.
Do I get a date?
Yeah, I move that we table this decision on Adams and Fort Sanders and until September 5th.
Seconded.
I second.
We moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Great, seeing that all in favor, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you all. Item 14. 15. Present for consideration consideration, the renewal of the 2023 mobile home park licenses for Paul, Niwas Mobile Home Park. Here we go.
Yeah, so we received one more mobile home park application. Inspections been done. And it's for ACAL, US.
So did it pass inspection?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And is this late? Is this a late?
It is late.
Application. Any other questions? Not entertain a motion for 15.
I move that we approve the 2023 mobile home park license for ACAL NISWAS Mobile Home Park. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Joe. 16, present for approval, subrecipient agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming and Medicine Bow Nordic Association for fiscal year 2023-24. Albany County Rec Board funding, the total amount of $11,000 from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Bailey, thank you.
So the next 6 items are all rec board agreements. As you know, we've never done agreements in the past. I've been talking with Jennifer though, and we think it is something that we need to do moving forward. So this will be the first year of them. I did get word that the school district has gone ahead and approved these, so we are okay to go ahead and move forward with the agreements. Applicant or the applicants are aware these are coming. They are aware they cannot submit any reimbursement requests until the agreements are signed, which again is something a little different that we're doing. We're going more off a reimbursement method than just handing the funds over as soon as we get them. This makes them a little more accountable for their funds. It also makes reporting easier for me. Not everybody likes to get back to me in a timely manner, and I'll just already have reporting data to hand over to Rec Board at their quarterly meetings. Any questions?
Thank you, Bailey. I like the changes. It's a useful thing. Being on both sides is a great thing. It's fine. It's fine. That's the reporting. If there are no questions, I entertain a motion for item 15 or 16, please.
I move that we approve item 16 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 17, present for approval, subrecipient agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming and Laramie Track Club for fiscal year 2023-24. Albany County Recreation Board funding, the total amount of $9,231.71 from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Commissioners, any questions for Bailey? We'll just go through these fairly quickly unless yes. And entertain a motion for 17.
I move that we approve item 17 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, please. Motion carries. 18, present for approval, subrecipient agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming and Laramie Rifle Range for fiscal year 2023-24. Albany County Rec Board funding in the total amount of $13,910 from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Commissioners, any questions? I entertain a motion for item 18 then.
I move that we approve item 18 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 19, present for approval, subrecipient agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming, Albany County Fair Board for fiscal year 2023-24, Albany County Recreation Board funding in the total amount of $32,764.75 from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Commissioners.
I move that we approve the subrecipient agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming and the Albany County Fair Board for fiscal year 2023-2024. Albany County Rec Board funding in the total amount of $32,764.75 through June 21st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 20, present for approval, subrecipient agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming, and Laramie Wrestling Booster Club for fiscal year 2023-2024 Albany County Recreation Board funding, a total amount of $19,774.88 from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Should I entertain a motion?
I move that we approve item 20 is presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 21, final one, present for approval, subrecipient agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Albany County, Wyoming, and Common Outdoor Ground, fiscal year 2023-24 Albany County Recreation Board funding, the total amount of $9,672 from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Commissioners, entertain a motion.
I move that we approve item 21 is presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. David, thank you for that. 22, present for approval, the memorandum of understanding between the Albany County and the city of Laramie for mosquito control surveillance and reporting activities as required under the emergency incident management program.
So this is our regular agreement that, or MOU that we have with the mosquito shop with the city of Laramie. With our emergency insect grant, they require monitoring, surveillance of some sort. And we partner with them to do that for us because we don't have the technology to do it. So this basically pays for like a part-time position over there during this time frame.
Questions? Not an entertained motion for item 22.
I move that we approve item 22 is presented. Second.
The move is seconded. Further discussion. Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 23, present for approval, emergency insect management program grant agreement between Wyoming Department of Agriculture and Albany County Commissioners in the amount of $83,024 for the purpose of providing a cooperative mosquito control program within Albany County.
This is just the agreement for our emergency insect grant. Came out a little late this year, but better late than never, so.
Is there any questions?
No, I move that we approve item 23 is presented.
Second.
The move is seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 24, present for approval, amendment 1 to the contract between the Wyoming Department of Family Services and Albany County Commissioners for the temporary assistance for needy families. TAMP CFDA number 93.558, grant for the purpose of increasing the contract dollar amounts to $220,500, extending the term of the contract through September 30th, 2024, and amending the responsibilities of the contractor. Bailey.
So TAMCPI went about it a little different this year. Normally we see a new agreement every year, the whole new application process. This year they actually told us up front what we will be receiving, and then we reached out to our subrecipients to get their new budgets, and we went through that whole process. So instead of doing a whole new agreement, they just decided to do an amendment to the agreement, just with that increased amount and the extension.
Thank you, Bailey.
And Bailey, will that be the norm from now on?
I do not know. I could see it both ways and think if this goes smoothly, it could be the norm. But I couldn't tell you.
I move that we approve item 24 is presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing that, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 25, present for approval, letter of commitment to the Department of Energy for the fiscal year 23 Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program for the purpose of securing funds to install solar panels at the Albany County Fairgrounds and Albany County Search and Rescue Buildings.
So as I believe you know, we put in a, what did they call it? Just kind of a letter of interest for this application. We were invited to complete a full application on this. So the project would be solar panels out at the fairgrounds and out at the SARS building, and we'd also tie in road and bridge as well. And we'd have all three of those pieces working with those solar panels. The grant does not require any match at all. But we're currently working on it and we do need a letter of commitment from the county commissioners.
Any questions? I entertain a motion for 25.
I move that we, approve the letter of commitment to the Department of Energy as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 26, present for approval, grant agreement between the Albany County and Wyoming Attorney General Division of Victim Services for services to victims of crime. Federal funds include VAWA-CFDA number 16.588, VOCA-CFDA number 16.575. State funds include state victim witness, state surcharge funds, the amount of $207,939. Bailey.
This is our normal agreement with the Attorney General's office for the victim witness program. We did receive about 10,000 more this year. We've been told not to get used to it, unfortunately. This one works kind of the same way like TANF a little bit that they did. We're told we just kind of put in a new budget every year, not a whole new application. So it's a 2-year application, but this would be the agreement for year 2 of it.
Commissioners, any questions? Entertain a motion for item 26.
I move that we approve item 26 as presented. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Item 27, present for approval the request for proposals for the purchase and installation of delineators along the side of Soldier Springs Road and direct the clerk to advertise and publish the advertisements for bid.
So this one's just a little different. We're doing our first YDOT grant and they require a lot. Yeah, so one of the things they require is they review our RFP before we put it out there. Well, we're so close, we wanted to get it on the agenda in front of you. I'm really just waiting for that final response. We've made the changes they requested. So this is the final result of that. So I'm really just waiting for the okay from YDOT. But after talking with Jennifer, we decided to go ahead and put it in front of you guys. So then as soon as I get that okay, we can put it out for advertisement. Rob, do you want to add anything about the project?
No.
Okay.
Rob, didn't we talk about this last
Well,
summer?
that's what I'm
I
saying. It
remember
seems-
asking a question about it.
It seems like there's lots of dots for finding out that you gotta connect with YDOT.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, I mean, when the auditors come, I know I'll be okay with this one. So I'm okay with it.
Oh, good idea.
Commissioners, any other questions?
So why is this our responsibility, not the road owner's responsibility?
Soldier Springs?
Oh, I was thinking how. No. I withdraw the question. Thank you. Thank you for looking at me like, are you nuts, Terry? I move that we approve item 27 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 28, present for approval, notice of non-compliance for non-profit recipients of ARPA funding.
So we do need to change this to, sorry, notice of default, please. We did just have one subrecipient that has not turned in their report yet. I did want to sneak it on today, so we didn't have to wait till another meeting. It was Safe Project this time. This is the first time for their notice. So we'll be getting that letter out today.
Thank you, Bailey. Commissioners, motion for 28.
I move that we approve item 28 as presented. Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 29 has been removed. 30, present for approval. For approval, application for catering permit for Yasu Inc. doing business as 3rd Street Bar for a wedding reception to be held at Black Fox on Welsh, 1000 Welsh Lane, Laramie, Wyoming, on August 19th, 2023, from 3:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Thank you.
So this is just a city liquor holder who will be dispensing alcohol and catering in the county.
Commissioners, I entertain a motion for that.
I move that we approve item 30 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 31, present for approval of all beverage permit for Wyoming Equality for the Wyoming Equality Rendezvous fundraiser to be held in Medicine Bow National Forest, Forest Road 707B, Laramie, Wyoming, on August 3rd, 2023, from 12 to 3 p.m. and August 5th, 2023, from 6 to 10 p.m. Yeah, I mean, did I get that right?
Yes, they just made a couple of changes. They wanted to extend it 1 extra hour on the 3rd, but pull it back and only start dispensing at 6 o'clock instead of at 8.
Commissioners, I entertain a motion.
I move that we approve item 31 with the changes of the time as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 32, present for approval, approach license for David, Tammy, and Charles Hoover on County Road number 51, Two Rivers Road, Laramie, Wyoming, located in section 23, township 17 north, range 74 west. Rob.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the Hoovers are asking to get a approach permit to Two Rivers Road so they can access their property that they would like to begin building on.
Commissioners, any questions? Not entertain a motion for item 32, please.
I move that we approve item 32 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. 33, present for approval, thank you, Rob. Contract between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Community Mental Health Board and Volunteers of America, Northern Rockies, for gatekeeping services in an amount not to exceed $24,000. Jennifer.
Good morning again. This is our annual contract with VOA for the gatekeeping services they provide for the Title 25 program. And the amount didn't change. It's pretty much the same one every year.
Commissioners, any questions? Entertain a motion for 30. Yeah, please.
I move that we approve the contract between the Board of County Commissioners and through the Albany County Community Mental Health Board and Volunteers of America, Northern Rockies, for the gatekeeping services for the amount of $24,000. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 34, present for approval contract between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Prosecuting Attorney's Office and Cathedral Home for Children Adult Diversion Program Services in an amount not to exceed $30,000.
So this contract is a little bit changed from last year. Usually it's a full year contract. This is only a 6-month contract because through the court supervised treatment program at the county, Heather has applied for grants that would essentially provide the services that are now being and expand the services that are now being provided by Cathedral Home. So we had a meeting with Cathedral Home earlier this summer. This contract period is for this first 6 months. Heather won't know if her grant's awarded until August or September. So we know we need Cathedral Home to keep doing exactly what they're doing at least through the end of the year. It may extend beyond that in this form, or Heather, and if the county gets the grant, Heather has talked to Cathedral Home and they're going to talk further about additional services Cathedral Home has available that would still be a benefit, not only to this transitional youth diversion program, but to other programs that the court supervised treatment program may have.
Any motion or any questions you have, Jennifer?
I move that we approve item 34 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign, please. That motion carries. Item 35, present for discussion, request from Disruptive Medical Technologies, Inc. for extension of a lease at 3821 Beach Street and direct staff on how to proceed. Jennifer.
So I'll introduce this and then introduce representatives from DMTI who are here. As you're aware, DMTI leases the existing first floor of our building at Beach Street. That lease expires September 15th of 2025. Due to the nature of DMTI's business, they are requesting an extension of that lease from this board to help them accommodate that transition period. They're working with LCBA, Josh and Brad there to look at purchasing land and building a building, and they just are going to need a little bit more time. So you have in your packets the information that DMTI sent in a PowerPoint presentation for you. And then I will let them talk you through what their business actually does, because it's fascinating and I had no idea. So please.
Welcome. Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate it. My name is David Rector. I'm the managing director of Disruptive MedTech. And I have with me some business partners and senior managers for our company, Doug and Gustav Peter. Disruptive MedTech currently occupies the first floor of Beach Street, and we are growing. We started with 3 people in 2020 at the WTBC. We've got 19 full-time equivalents now working for us. We continue to bring in contracts. We're looking to expand. We need more room. Ideally, we'd be able to expand our leasing and actually take the upstairs as well, so we could double our space while we're looking at yet more space. Currently, we're adding about $350,000 a year to the Wyoming County in the form of, oh, you got the presentation up. In the form of salaries, where our quarter-over-quarter growth has been going since the beginning of 2021, when we were able to get back into our core business, which is really orthopedic instruments and surgical trays. And so we do a lot of work that helps do shoulders, knees, hips, implants for toes, feet. We do a lot of tray manufacturing in a custom-built wet room that goes through after surgeries. We reservice and make sure that all the instruments are proper, sharp, built the way they're supposed to be built. We run in a clean room facility, so we've changed the entire building at Beach Street. Even though we only occupy 1 floor, the entire HVAC for the system has been brought up to a clean room standard. So we've put a lot of money and time into our existing facilities. The challenges that we have is that as an ISO registered company, our registration is tied to our physical location. Our certifications from the FDA, the certifications from the ISO certifying bodies, that's the International Standards Organization for Medical Device Manufacturing, and all of our customers require recertification of the physical building, not just DMTI as an entity. So as we look to expand in 24 and 25, we've got a couple of opportunities with joint venture partners in Germany and in Thailand that currently have 120 employees, that 40% of that work comes to the United States. We want to bring that into Laramie as part of this expansion, which we could see a 5x growth in our employment that we do here today. In addition to employment, we partner with local manufacturers in Laramie. Right now, we're putting about $500,000 back into the economy, just buying parts, services, and other things that go into our business as a company. So we're really excited to see a partnership with Laramie and Albany County and be able to work together to continue to make our business thrive. I'm from Colorado, and I came up here for a very specific reason, which is because you guys are pro-business. You have a very good outlook on the economic future and the talent pool that we can draw from at the university. So it's been a great relationship over these last 3 years. And these clients that we're talking about, they're not just fly-by-night companies. It's very, very sticky business because it's challenging for them to recertify when we move. And it opens up the opportunity for us to lose that business because they have to open it up to, of course, other suppliers. The biggest company that we work with is a $19 billion Swiss conglomerate. The smallest company we work with is a guy that's just an engineer with an idea and an M. So it's everything in between. And we really help the design phase, the development phase, the product realization. So it's not just a manufacturing organization. We provide services to our clients to the point that we develop companies inside our company. So we'll stand up a medical device company where we'll actually run their books. We do their finances, we do their invoicing, we do all their manufacturing, we do all their services. So it's a lot more than a simple model of a contract manufacturer. And so when we look at the challenges that we have, as we expand in 24, we already need more space. So even before our lease runs out in 2025, what do we do to get the additional space, which we would really like to grow inside that building? After 25, we have a couple of options that we are presenting to the commissioners here. The first is that building is already being looked at for expansions. We know that. We walked the perimeter with a surveyor. We think that we could put about 30,000 square feet plus the already the existing building to accomplish our 40,000 square feet if we were able to acquire that building from the county and the adjacent lot and to continue to break ground. And the numbers and the dates that you see here are with the wind to our back and the stars aligned and everything happening like it's supposed to. So the reason that we originally asked for a 3-year extension instead of just a 1-year extension or a 2-year extension is if something goes wrong, the bumps in the road are very, very large. And so we want to be able to know that we're going to have a continuity in our business and not be forced into bad decisions or worse. And that's really our biggest concern, is making sure we can service our customers. So under an ideal situation, we're staying at Beach Street. We don't have to re-register. We don't have to re-audit. We have our customers come in and bless new processes. We expand. We continue to bring jobs to the market. And these are good paying jobs. Our average wage is just under $21. Our median wage in Laramie is about 32, so per hour. And so that's 64,000. We're the jobs that we're bringing in as we expand. We're bringing technologies that don't exist in the Rocky Mountain Front Range, really. We want to bring in X-ray sterilization to continue our product development. We want to bring in packaging certifications, which for when you go into a sterile barrier package, you have to do a lot of sterile certifications and a lot of requirements along those lines. So, you know, with the option B, we've been working with the LCDA. This, you know, as Jennifer will tell you, we were caught a little bit flat-footed with the end of our lease coming up, and we were hoping to be able to expand our lease and have been asking to do so. And when we met with Jennifer, what, a month ago now, we found out that there was some other plans for this property, so it put us on a precarious path, let's just say. So the other option would be to start from scratch and find a lot in suitable location. You know, is it Cielo Sky? Is it you know, some other available building? But it would take significant remodels, recertifications. It's probably about $250,000 in costs for us to do a recert. Just alone before we move any of the equipment. And so it's as a small company, that's a big nut to swallow. It's very, very challenging for us to have to contemplate that. So we're here to ask that you have some consideration on, you know, what is the existing lease, and can we maybe take over the upstairs as well? And then what can we do after that? And where does it go at 2025? Is it an acquisition? Is it an extension while we look at other options? We need to get a direction really pretty quickly. And so that's why we're here today. Anything to add?
I believe that we have a business here that's thriving, and we need to help accommodate them absolutely as much as we possibly can, because they're going to do more for Laramie. They're going to do more for Albany County, and cutting them off the knees is not right, and sends a huge message that we're not interested in economic development.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would feel like it was cutting off at the knees. We
Oh,
complied with every single part of our lease agreement. And whether that is the right thing to do or not, the right thing to do going forward, I think it's been a really good mutual relationship, right?
Agreed.
And if I remember correctly, maybe you could correct me, David, but some of the upgrades to the HVAC were forgiven by the rent, right? Was that?
There was some accommodations made. There was some monies that were used from the economic development, I believe, either in the rent or the LCBA, I don't remember exactly. It was about a 50-50 split on the renovations for the HVAC and those type of things. And then we took on a lot of the interior, of course, of the clean rooms and the other equipment. And you know, there's quite a bit of capital that goes into these things as well. So it's not just the building itself that was required. But yes, there was some sharing of that and some rent considerations that were discussed. Yes.
Yeah.
David, what's the minimum amount of time that you would need beyond
Well,
25?
to break ground, first of all, this starts with the BRC grant process. So that in and of itself is a random question, right? We all know that could be awarded or couldn't be awarded. We have business partners that are financially able to make the acquisitions and move that type of thing forward quicker than breaking ground. When we talk about breaking ground, you're looking at 24 months by the time you do all your design, your layout, your architecture, then go out for bids, get approvals and go through that type of processing. And then by the time you break out, it's about 15 months to actually put up the structures and do tenant improvements, we estimate. So we're already late.
Just to, if you guys, I'm sure you're aware, but if you're not aware, the public's not aware, we are trying to reimagine what to do with county facilities. We have a bunch of buildings spread about Albany County, the city of Laramie. Consolidating those is, we have decided what to put that out for engineering thought. Like, how do we do this, right? Instead of having 7 roofs, how do we get 1 roof? Instead of 7 IT locations, how do we get 1 IT location or 2 IT locations? And so consolidating is something that we are thinking about. That's just in the thinking about stage. Albany County is always had, today does not have the money to buy that. If they were to come in and say, we need this building, we could not purchase that as it stands right now. So we're in a similar phase that you guys are, and we are looking at what makes the most sense for the people. Do appreciate you guys' willingness to rent that space, and create jobs. It just was one question, just of the 19 FTEs, how many of them are out in Wyoming?
That is the Wyoming headcount.
Okay.
So no, we also have an engineer, my CFO, mine, and then the business partners, myself and Jim and Keith. We're down in Colorado. Jim's in Golden, or in Centennial. Keith's in Golden. The CFO's in Thornton, and we're up here a lot. But this is the only brick and mortar. This is where we make stuff. This is where we grow. This is where we do our design development. When we look at the growth that we are forecasting and the customers that we're bringing on board, that would involve partnering with another Laramie County business to help us grow in the machining and titanium implant manufacturing and let, they're space constrained too. So this is a win-win for multiple companies really as it comes through, and hopefully the county.
Do you have part-time employees?
We do. We have a number of part-time, and we have a lot of flex. So we allow people to work that's convenient for their schedules and families and their needs. And so yes, we have that. We also have students, but we pay students. Our starting wage for an intern is about $17 an hour. So we like bringing in students that are there to learn and eager and not necessarily entrenched in their ways, and that's how it's always been done, because that's what we're here to shake up and change the way medical devices are being manufactured. And I'd love to have you guys come out and take a look at what we do and take a walk through and if there is taking a visit. And I think we're doing a pretty great job.
David, are there any plans to work with LCCC as far as some kind of program to benefit them as well as you?
Yeah, they're right next door, of course, and we've done some grant work and some stuff. You want to talk through that?
Good stuff.
Yeah, so we did work with LCCC, in fact, both Avid Corporation that's partnered to manufacture some devices, and DMTI worked with LCCC to start up, and we're big supporters of their CNC manufacturing program. You know, the mill and lathe that they have out there set up. Fortunately, they had some staff changes in that program and isn't currently running here, and I think some of that's because they've been focused on getting the manufacturing center set up in Cheyenne. So currently, they're not offering any classes. We've talked to them multiple times about what partnering in different ways would look like. But of course, they have their strategy and their mission, and sometimes it aligns with us and sometimes it doesn't. Currently, we haven't been talking to them recently. Again, I think they're focused on getting the Cheyenne side set up, and so a lot of resources got moved over there. We have chatted with them because we do, I mean, there's multiple companies here that do CNC machining that would be happy to have that kind of training locally, but not fully in existence. They ran a couple classes and they disappeared for a bit. We hope they'll come back.
I don't think we're prepared to make any type of decision today.
No magic wands.
Right, no magic wands. And we do have entities that are bursting at the seams in their current facilities. And I'm not sure what the world will hold, but we do really want to keep the line of communication open. I'm sorry that you were blindsided by that. What we'll end up doing is probably end up talking about this in a further meeting. It's really nice to have your presentation, to know exactly what you guys do. And then we'll see what can happen, either with that building or with the LCBA, working with you guys. I'd love to keep you in Laramie. I think it's important. And it's important for us to make our moves also strategically too for our offices and in our buildings. One more roof goes bad, start stuttering. And so I would just soon there just be one or two roofs, right, instead of the 10 we had. So Jennifer, is there anything else that you would like us to need? Thank you, David.
In preparation for your next meeting, I'm happy to work with Bailey and reach out to the architects to get an idea from them. Because in our original things, we had put that the lease ended in September of 25, and ask them about their ideas about changes in potential costs to the county by extending that for 6 months or so if they were to build, so that you would have an idea of what that extension, if there's a cost to the county, if it's feasible, what it would be. So you'd have that information in front of you the next time you discuss it.
Yeah, super, thank you. And then I guess, we're anticipating lease extension. We'd have to figure out what those rates were, because obviously
I think we're up to market now, I believe.
Yeah. There's in the original lease, there's another price escalation in July of next year that covers through September of 25. So, and I think, I don't have a ring for me, but I think that puts it at about $14 a square foot. Something.
Plus the garage,
Yeah.
another $250.
So I think we can do some market rent analysis as well and let you know for commercial space, if you choose to extend it longer, if there needs to be an escalator on there, or if that existing, what the rent will be at the conclusion of the existing lease is reasonable to continue for the next 6 months after that, or see what we can find out for you.
Can I add one thing real quick?
Sure.
So as you know, some of the money we've dedicated from ARPA, some of the money we've dedicated from LATCF for the second floor portion, the public health portion, there is another pot of money that we did dedicate towards it. That's about $500,000 from another grant. That grant ends currently right now, June 2024. I've got word that there is supposed to be an extension, but I don't believe it till I see it. And that's supposed to go till June 2025. So that is a restriction just on that second floor piece. The other piece, LATCF does not have any timeline. ARPA, because of the way we've managed those funds, does not have a timeline either, which is so you're aware.
Thanks, Pete.
So if it's all right with this commission, we'll come back a different day, but David, just to let you know what our considerations, we'll be talking with staff, talking about our county engineer, thinking about the contracts we've let out for engineering, not only for the second floor, but future engineering for that building, and see what that sense of all this makes. We have, constraints, as you just heard, a few of them. We have money constraints also. We've never been under the rich community of human resources. And so we'll have to make some decisions, and we'll try to keep you posted on how those go. You're more than welcome to join us with those agenda items.
Certainly love to be a part of that and maintain open lines. Like I say, this is part of the income stream. There's a lot of capital equipment that we bring in. So this is, the sale, the property tax side of things is pretty substantial in our manufacturing world too. So there's a trade-off with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the discussion. Thank you for the presentation. And would anybody else have anything you'd like to? And we'll keep you posted as we move forward. And it'll be sooner rather than later. We're not going to spend a year thinking about this, I imagine.
Mr. Barlow, owner of Abbott Corporation Machine Shop here on 13th Baker. But we've been doing a lot more with constructing big tech, and they're bringing a lot more work to this community, which also funds the 14 to 15 people we have there too. So there's more to consider than just them. There's other machine shops here that are supporting it. So.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. It's just a discussion item. Hopefully that's it. Commissioners, do you have anything else that you'd like to add to that? Item 36 or 35, excuse me. Item 36, present for approval, resolution 2023-013. A resolution to support the Wyoming Game and Fish Commission's acquisition of a 459.71 acre property near Jelm, Wyoming.
This resolution is in front of you. The county was sent a letter from the Game and Fish asking for input from the commissioners regarding their purchase of this acreage that's off of Highway 10 up by Jelm. So I put together a draft resolution in support of it, just so you would have something to look at. It also included an additional map than what was sent by the Game and Fish, because I couldn't figure out where it was roads-wise. So that other map that's in your packet is from our county mapping system, so you can see where it does connect the Forest Service lands to the west, as well as part of that Game and Fish habitat to the east. And the purchase, the Game and Fish says in their letter and in the statute, the increase in the conservation stamp prices in 2020 or 2021, 85% of that money has to be used to purchase additional habitat by Game and Fish. So they're using those funds, or they've allocated those funds for this purchase.
Commissioners, any questions? I'm probably supposed to read this by the time.
It's in the packet. I don't know that you have to read it all, but.
Okay. Any questions? I'd entertain a motion for item 36.
I move that we approve item 36 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 37. Didn't write to it yet, sorry.
No, you're good.
Request a statement of the receipts and expenditures of the county during the preceding 12 months, setting forth the source and amount of all receipts and the purpose and the amount of all expenditures to be prepared upon reconciliation of all accounts by the county treasurer and the county clerk no later than September 30th, 2023, pursuant to Wyoming State Statute 18-3-515. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a statutory requirement for the county clerk. And so as soon as it's approved by you guys, then it'll go on to the paper and be advertised.
Commissioners, any questions for Tammy? For item 37.
I move that we approve item 37 as presented. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. 58, acknowledge receipt of the letter of resignation from Mike Sam from the South Knoll Road Improvement District.
I move that we acknowledge receipt of the letter of resignation from Mike Sapp.
Second.
Moving seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 39, approved vouchers for July 2023.
I move that we approve vouchers from July 2023.
Second.
Moving seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Seeing no more business before the county commission on August 1st, 2023. I'd like to thank you all for attendance and I'll call this meeting adjourned. We'll see you.